Hey there folks, if you want to stay ahead of the weather and never miss a critical update, make sure to follow SkyAlert USA for this report and all our future videos. Support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping your thoughts in the comments below. We really appreciate your engagement.
Welcome to SkyAlert USA, your go-to source for comprehensive weather updates. Let's jump right in. Good day, weather watchers. This is SkyAlert USA bringing you a critical weather update for Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Across the United States and Canada, we're experiencing a dramatic weather pattern that's affecting millions from coast to coast. Today's report covers unprecedented temperature swings, winter storm alerts, and a significant Arctic outbreak that's reshaping the weather landscape across North America. As we speak, a complex weather scenario is unfolding with record-breaking warm temperatures in some regions, while others brace for dangerous cold. The culprit behind this extreme weather volatility is a disrupted polar vortex that has unleashed Arctic air masses across the continent. Let's break down what's happening right now and what you can expect over the next 3 days. That's a real roller coaster of temperatures, folks. Today marks a particularly unusual weather pattern across North America. According to the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center, we're witnessing well above average temperatures across the northern and central plains and upper Midwest tonight, with lows in the 30s and 40s Fahrenheit, likely breaking numerous minimum temperature records for portions of these regions. This warmth is the calm before the storm, as a significant pattern change is already underway. Meanwhile, Canada is experiencing January's characteristic cold, with temperatures significantly cooler than historical averages. Current readings show temperatures running approximately 2 degrees Celsius below the long-term average, with many areas experiencing minus 1.3 degrees Celsius as an average temperature for January so far. The coldest regions are seeing nighttime lows plunging to minus 35 to minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec.
Multiple weather systems are currently impacting different regions simultaneously. In the Great Lakes region, lake effect snow is creating hazardous conditions, particularly downwind of Lakes Erie and Ontario. Winter storm warnings remain in effect for parts of western New York, including Syracuse and areas south of Buffalo, where moderate to heavy snow could bring whiteout conditions with snowfall rates reaching up to 3 inches per hour in the heaviest bands. The southeastern United States is enjoying relatively pleasant conditions today, with sunny skies forecast for much of Georgia and neighboring states. Cobb County, Georgia, for instance, is experiencing sunny weather with highs near 56 degrees Fahrenheit, though a hazardous weather outlook has been issued due to increased fire danger across parts of central Georgia this afternoon. Across the western United States, particularly in Northern California and the Pacific Northwest, residents are dealing with the aftermath of powerful atmospheric river events that brought heavy rain and mountain snow throughout the past week. The Sierra Nevada mountains have received several feet of snow, with some locations recording over 4 feet of accumulation. Flash flooding remains a concern in low-lying areas where excessive rainfall has saturated the ground.
So yeah, there's a lot happening out there today. Stay tuned for more updates. The dominant weather story affecting both the United States and Canada is the significant disruption of the polar vortex. This massive circulation of cold air that normally remains confined to the Arctic has been disrupted by a stratospheric warming event detected in mid-January. This disruption has created a displaced polar vortex core that has shifted toward eastern Canada, setting up a pattern that will pump Arctic air southward across much of North America. The polar vortex disruption began with a stratospheric warming event, where temperatures in the mid-stratosphere rose 20 to 30 degrees Celsius above normal. This warming has deformed the vortex structure, creating what meteorologists call legs or lobes that extend southward into the United States and Canada. When the polar vortex is disrupted like this, it can no longer effectively contain Arctic air at the poles, allowing frigid temperatures to spill southward into populated areas. This isn't just a minor cold snap. Forecast models indicate this pattern will persist through the second half of January, potentially bringing some of the coldest temperatures of the winter season to tens of millions of people. The displaced vortex core over eastern Canada will generate a persistent northerly flow, acting as a conveyor belt for Arctic air to stream southward.
3-day forecast, January 14th through 16th, 2026. Wednesday marks the beginning of a significant weather transition across the United States and Canada. A shortwave impulse diving south from central Canada will amplify the parent mid-level trough from Hudson Bay to the Gulf Coast, setting the stage for widespread wintry weather.
For the Midwest and Great Lakes regions, expect wintry weather to develop as a surface trough tracks rapidly eastward. Lake effect snow will intensify, especially downwind of Lakes Erie and Ontario, with the Tug Hill Plateau facing moderate probabilities of receiving at least 4 inches of snow.
Enhanced snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour are expected in the heaviest bands, creating treacherous travel conditions.
The Mid-Atlantic and Appalachian regions should prepare for a wintry mix that will begin Wednesday night and continue into Thursday.
A complex coastal low-pressure system will bring initial precipitation as a mix of rain, sleet, and freezing rain before transitioning to snow. This mixed precipitation will create extremely dangerous road conditions, with ice accumulations possible on untreated surfaces.
Western Canada will experience the leading edge of intensifying Arctic cold. Temperatures will begin dropping significantly across British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan as the polar vortex low positions itself overhead. Wind chill values will become life-threatening in exposed areas, with readings potentially dropping below -50 degrees Fahrenheit in the coldest zones.
The Pacific Northwest will see continued unsettled weather, with additional frontal systems bringing rain to lower elevations and heavy mountain snow. The Cascades and Olympic Mountains could receive another 1 to 2 feet of snow, adding to already impressive snowpack totals. This is good news for water resources, but continues to create hazardous mountain travel conditions.
Thursday represents the peak of the transitional weather pattern, with the most complex and dangerous conditions across the eastern United States. The coastal low-pressure system affecting the Mid-Atlantic and New England will reach maximum intensity.
Accumulating snow is forecast for portions of the Appalachians, Mid-Atlantic states, and New England, with the potential for significant snowfall totals. The exact track of this system will determine snow amounts, but preparations should be made for 6 to 12 inches of snow in the hardest-hit areas, with locally higher amounts possible in favored upslope locations.
Major metropolitan areas including Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston face significant disruptions. The morning commute will be particularly treacherous as the wintry mix transitions to snow. Air travel delays and cancellations are likely at major hubs, including Newark, Philadelphia International, LaGuardia, and Boston Logan.
The Great Lakes region will continue experiencing intense lake effect snow. Persistent snow bands will develop downwind of all 5 Great Lakes, with corridors near Marquette, Traverse City, Grand Rapids, South Bend, Cleveland, Erie, Buffalo, and Watertown, facing localized whiteouts and rapid accumulations.
Despite modest synoptic precipitation, these lake effect bands can overwhelm snow removal operations.
Across the plains and upper Midwest, the Arctic front will make its presence known. Temperatures will plummet 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit within a matter of hours as the front pushes through. Cities from Fargo to Minneapolis to Chicago will see dramatic temperature drops, with wind chills becoming dangerously cold by Thursday evening.
Canada's prairie provinces will endure brutally cold conditions. Minimum temperatures of -35 to -45 degrees Fahrenheit are forecast, with dangerous wind chills reaching or exceeding -50 degrees Fahrenheit. These are life-threatening conditions that require extreme caution for anyone venturing outdoors. Frostbite can occur on exposed skin in minutes under these conditions.
Friday brings the full force of Arctic air to much of the eastern United States while western regions begin experiencing slight moderation. The Arctic outbreak reaches its maximum southward extent on Friday.
Cold air will penetrate deep into the southeast, with freezing temperatures reaching northern Florida by Friday morning. Cities across the Gulf Coast from Houston to Mobile to Tallahassee should prepare for hard freezes that could damage sensitive vegetation and burst exposed water pipes.
The northern plains and upper Midwest will experience the coldest conditions of the winter season. Morning lows of -10 to -25 degrees Fahrenheit are forecast across North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa, with daytime highs struggling to escape the single digits and teens.
Major cities including Minneapolis, Fargo, Duluth, Green Bay, and Milwaukee will face prolonged sub-freezing conditions. Wind chill values across the upper Midwest and northern plains could drop to -30 to -50 degrees Fahrenheit. These extreme wind chills create dangerous, potentially life-threatening conditions. Frostbite can occur in less than 10 minutes on exposed skin, and hypothermia becomes a serious risk even for those dressed in winter clothing if exposure is prolonged.
The Northeast and New England will dig out from Thursday's snowstorm while facing the coldest air of the season. High temperatures may not reach freezing across much of the region, with overnight lows dropping into the single digits in teens Fahrenheit. Areas that receive significant snow will see that snow remain as temperatures stay well below freezing.
Eastern Canada continues experiencing extreme Arctic conditions. The Trans-Canada Highway, Highway 1, and Highway 16 face recurring hazards from ice glaze and wind-drifted snow. Major transportation hubs including Toronto Pearson, Montreal Trudeau, and Winnipeg Richardson International should anticipate periodic ground stops for de-icing operations and runway clearance.
Beyond the winter weather and Arctic cold, severe thunderstorm risks exist across portions of the southern United States. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted areas across the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys, where strong to severe thunderstorms are possible as warmer, moist air ahead of the Arctic front clashes with the approaching cold air mass.
Tornado risks, though not widespread, are possible across parts of Missouri, western Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. The severe weather window is relatively brief, primarily affecting these areas Thursday into Friday. But residents should remain weather aware and have multiple ways to receive severe weather warnings.
Damaging wind gusts are the primary severe weather threat, with winds potentially exceeding 60 miles per hour in the strongest thunderstorm cells. Large hail is also possible, though less likely given the time of year. The severe weather threat diminishes rapidly as the cold front pushes through and colder air infiltrates the region.
Winter storm warnings and advisories are in effect across a huge swath of the United States and Canada, covering millions of people right now.
Winter storm warnings remain in effect across portions of 8 United States states, with up to 7 inches of snow forecast in the hardest hit areas. In New York State, winter storm warnings are covering areas south and east of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. Syracuse could honestly experience near blizzard conditions, with snowfall rates of 3 inches per hour and wind gusts creating some really dangerous whiteout conditions.
Emergency officials are warning against all unnecessary travel during the peak snowfall periods.
The Appalachian Mountains, from West Virginia through Pennsylvania, Maryland, and into New England, face winter storm warnings for significant snow accumulations. Higher elevation areas could get over a foot of snow, while lower elevations are looking at 6 to 10 inches. This snow is going to be accompanied by strong winds, making travel dangerous and raising the risk for power outages.
Lake effect snow warnings continue for the traditional snowbelt areas downwind of the Great Lakes, places like the Tug Hill Plateau in New York, the snowbelt east of Cleveland, and the areas around Buffalo could see multiple feet of snow over several days, as those persistent lake effect bands just hang around.
In Canada, Environment Canada has issued extreme cold warnings for vast portions of the prairie provinces and northern Ontario and Quebec. These warnings, honestly, indicate dangerously cold wind chills that pose an immediate threat to life. Residents are urged to limit outdoor exposure and make sure to have proper protection if travel is absolutely necessary.
Flooding concerns remain, even as the focus is mostly on winter weather and the cold. Several regions are facing significant flood risks right now.
The Tennessee Valley faces a level 2 out of 4 flash flooding threat as heavy rainfall from the storm system moves through. Nashville and Huntsville metro areas are particularly vulnerable, with 3 to 5 inches of rain possible on already saturated ground.
Northern California is still dealing with flood risks from those atmospheric river events. Rain totals of 2 to 4 inches across the Sacramento Valley and 4 to 8 inches in the lower western slopes of the northern Sierra Nevada have led to significant runoff.
Small streams and rivers remain swollen, and, well, any additional rainfall could trigger flash flooding in urban areas and low-lying regions. Coastal flooding is also a concern along the California coast, where record-high king tides have lined up with stormy weather.
Coastal erosion and property damage have already happened in some vulnerable spots, and folks living in low-lying coastal zones should stay alert as more storm systems are on the way.
Transportation impacts are going to be a big deal over the next 3 days, with this weather pattern creating some serious challenges across North America.
Air travel will face major disruptions, with delays and cancellations likely at major hubs throughout the Midwest, Northeast, and Great Lakes regions. Major interstate highways are facing hazardous conditions.
Interstate 94, from North Dakota through Minnesota, Wisconsin, and into Michigan, is going to have periods of black ice, blowing snow, and extreme cold that could even lead to vehicle breakdowns.
Interstate 90, from Montana through South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and into New York, faces similar conditions. Interstate 80, from Wyoming through Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, will be particularly dangerous during the height of the winter storm.
Up in Canada, the Trans-Canada Highway system is facing extreme cold and blowing snow hazards. Highway 1 and Highway 16 will be especially treacherous across the prairie provinces, with reduced visibility from blowing snow and extreme cold creating mechanical risks for vehicles.
Travelers should carry emergency supplies, including blankets, food, water, and a way to communicate. Rail transportation, too, may experience delays due to switching problems in the extreme cold and snow piling up on the tracks. Commuter rail systems across the Northeast and Midwest should anticipate service disruptions during the peak of this winter weather.
So, the agricultural sector is really facing some tough challenges from this weather pattern. Livestock across the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Canadian prairies are going to need extra protection and care during these extreme cold events. Ranchers and farmers, Well, they have to make sure animals have enough shelter, bedding, and water, plus more feed to help them keep their body heat up.
Winter wheat crops across the central United States generally, they benefit from snow cover, which acts as a kind of insulation against the extreme cold. But, areas that get hit with the cold, without any snow cover, could see some real crop damage if those temperatures stay below critical thresholds for too long.
And the citrus industry down in the deep south is at risk too, with those hard freezes expected to reach the Gulf Coast. Growers in northern Florida, southern Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana will need to use frost protection measures to keep their crops safe. Even just a few hours of sub-freezing temperatures can really hurt the fruit and the trees.
Energy markets are likely to see some price volatility as demand surges across the eastern half of North America. Natural gas futures have already shown some upward pressure with this cold outbreak coming, and heating oil demand is expected to go up a lot, especially across the Northeast.
Given the severity and scope of this weather pattern, SkyAlert USA wants to emphasize these critical safety recommendations. For extreme cold, folks should dress in multiple layers and cover all exposed skin when outdoors.
Frostbite can happen in just minutes when wind chills drop below -30 degrees Fahrenheit. You need to watch for signs like numbness, white or grayish-yellow skin, and skin that feels firm or waxy.
Hypothermia symptoms include shivering, exhaustion, confusion, and drowsiness. If you notice these, seek medical attention right away.
For winter driving, it's best to avoid travel during the peak of winter storms if you can. But if you have to go out, make sure your vehicle is winter-ready with good tires, working heat, a full tank of gas, and an emergency kit, blankets, food, water, flashlight, first aid supplies, and a phone charger.
And don't forget to tell someone your route and when you expect to arrive. If you get stranded, stay with your vehicle.
For power outages, have alternative heat sources ready, but never use generators, grills, or camp stoves indoors because of carbon monoxide risks. Keep flashlights and battery-powered radios handy, charge your devices before the storm, and know how to manually open your garage door if the power goes out.
For frozen pipes, keep cabinet doors open under sinks to let warm air circulate. Let your faucets drip a little to prevent freezing, and know where your main water shutoff valve is in case a pipe bursts. If your pipes do freeze, thaw them slowly with a hairdryer or warm towels, but never use an open flame.
Looking beyond this 3-day forecast period, the weather pattern really shows no signs of getting better quickly. Extended range forecasts indicate that the polar vortex disruption will keep temperatures below normal across much of North America through the second half of January.
The Canadian long-range model shows continued cold air support over Western Canada and the northern and central United States into February 2026. So this suggests that the current pattern could persist or even repeat, with more Arctic outbreaks possible in the coming weeks.
But, not every region is going to stay stuck in this deep freeze. The western United States, especially along the Pacific coast, will probably see near to above normal temperatures thanks to a ridge of high pressure holding steady.
That ridge will also keep sending moisture-laden storm systems toward the Pacific Northwest and California, so those areas will stay pretty active weather-wise.
The weather pattern affecting the United States and Canada over the next 3 days is shaping up to be one of the most significant winter weather events of the 2025 to 2026 season.
From heavy snow and ice across the eastern United States to life-threatening cold in the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Canada, this multifaceted event really demands serious attention and preparation.
The disrupted polar vortex has changed everything, releasing Arctic air that's going to impact tens of millions of people.
We're looking at temperature swings of 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, winter storm impacts, severe weather threats, and flooding concerns. A complex and dangerous situation across much of the continent.
This is SkyAlert USA urging everyone to stay weather aware over the coming days. Monitor local forecasts, pay attention to warnings from the National Weather Service and Environment Canada, and take the right precautions for your area.
This is not your typical winter weather event. The mix of extreme cold, heavy snow, ice, and wind means potentially life-threatening conditions in a lot of places.
So, stay safe, stay informed, and stay warm out there.
We'll keep monitoring this evolving weather situation and bring you the latest updates. For SkyAlert USA, this has been your comprehensive weather update for January 13th, 2026.